The balanced scorecard was developed by two guys from Harvard called Kaplan and Norton, and what they did was they went out to look at some of the most successful organisations in the world to try and find out what made them so successful. What they found when they looked at all of their research was that those top performing organisations tended to follow similar patterns and have in place similar processes. And what they found was that those organisations that had a very clear vision and strategy that was then broken down into 4 key areas, looking at different parts of the business and having measures in place for those, tended to be more successful than those who didn't have that kind of structure in place. So the balanced scorecard is based on having measurable goals and outcomes for your finances and your stakeholders, setting goals for operations and productivity, looking at setting goals for your learning and innovation within the organisation, and having some goals for your customers and your markets. The reason why there are 4 areas to measure is to avoid that element within some organisations where you only focus, say, on measuring just the financial performance of the organisation. So by providing these 4 different areas to focus on, creates a sense of balance within the organisation, and that's where the name Balanced Scorecard comes from. The simplicity of the Balanced Scorecard means that it's relevant to any type of business, whether that's public sector, private sector, large or small, because it's based on those very simple fundamentals of having those clear, measurable targets in those 4 key areas. So let's look at how the balanced scorecard works. We're looking at the first segment here, which is looking at finance and stakeholders. So what are those financial measures that this organisation is setting to achieve over the year ahead? Well, first of all, they've set some goals here about reducing their overheads by 10%. They want to create a surplus of 1.5 million in the year. They also want to reduce their purchasing costs by 20%, and they're trying to create some money to invest into a staff bonus system. The beauty of this is that each of those objectives have been put down onto paper. They're very clear, they're easy to understand and communicate, and they probably would have been put together through a process of discussion with the senior management team, perhaps also taking on board some of the ideas and thoughts from the staff as well. Let's now look at some of the productivity measures that the organisation has set for the year ahead, by looking at the operations and productivity section. Well, in this example, it looks like they're trying to reduce their machine downtime, because that will save them a lot of money over the period of a year. They're also trying to reduce the amount of time they spend doing rework, because of course that has a financial implication somewhere further down the line. Looking at this, they also want to reduce their sickness and absence rates, because that will be hitting their production levels. They've also set themselves a goal to produce 100 more widgets per day by the year end, and hopefully they've set that as a target without having to invest in any new equipment or people. It's purely some kind of stretch measure that they've set for the workforce. Now we're going to look at the skills-based measures that you can set within the balanced scorecard by looking at the learning and innovation section. This is about identifying those skills and knowledge and behaviours and attitudes and competencies that the organisation may need to take it forward into the future, and also looking at where the organisation may need to innovate or create new ideas, new products, new services. So straight away there at the top of this particular set of measures we've got that they're looking to create 2 new profitable products this year. They've decided that they want to invest 100,000 in training this year, and they've linked that to a return on investment of £250,000 of income. They also want to develop some new managers who are going to be off running their own profit centres within 12 months. And customer service here has come out quite key to this organisation. They want to roll out some customer service training to link into that customer satisfaction target they've set of 95%. And now we're looking at the final section of the balanced scorecard, which is customers and markets. And in this example, the organisation is looking to increase their market share over the period of a year. They want to increase their customer satisfaction, and they're looking to bring in some new customers every month, and they want to do a bit more repeat business with their existing customers. The key point here really is that you're able to write down and share some pretty challenging but measurable goals that everyone in the workforce can sign up to and focus on. So what do you do once you've set all of these goals and measures using the balanced scorecard headings? Well, you need to measure them, and measurement should be really as simple as possible. The whole idea of the balanced scorecard is to set goals and measures that are simple, realistic, achievable, and where you can get information back readily, so that you can see on a daily, weekly or monthly basis just how you're doing against those measures that you've set. And this can be a really good motivator if you're doing very well against those measures, And if you're not doing well against those measures, then you're getting to find out as soon as possible that you're not on track. And if you're not on track, you can do something about it. Now here, what you're seeing here is an example of how they're measuring their customer satisfaction. So you've got a graph here that's showing what the target is, and they're aiming here for a target of 96% customer satisfaction over the 4 quarters, and the blue line shows where they have been throughout the year. So obviously something has started to go a little bit wrong from quarter 3 to quarter 4. So that is a very good way of showing the senior management team and the people responsible for customer service that there is some problem happening here within the business, and they need to be looking into that. Here is another way that you could show your progress towards some of those goals that you've set using the balanced scorecard. This one now is looking at productivity measures. The pie chart on the left is showing you the target that was set by the business, and what they want to be doing is spending as much time as possible in making the product, being productive. They've set a target of 66% there. There are other elements in here that need to be done. There's quality control, but if you look, they acknowledge that there are going to be some errors in production. There's going to be some rework that needs to be done. There is inevitably going to be a little bit of downtime. Things don't always run smoothly, and perhaps there's going to be some repairs that may need to be done to the product as well in this situation. So they set some targets here that are quite, I think, quite challenging, but achievable for the business. Now, if you look at how they're actually doing, you'll see that they're not quite on target in a number of areas, but by using this way of measuring performance, they can see exactly where they're spending their time. And there's a lot of work there going into errors and rework. So perhaps if I was using this within my business, I'd be drilling down into that part of production to find out exactly what it is that they're trying to rework all the time, try and cut that time down and get that productivity time up from 35% up towards that 66% target that they've set. There are lots of other ways that you can measure your performance after you've set those goals within the balanced scorecard, but just as an overview once more, this is how the balanced scorecard is structured. You start off with having a clear vision and strategy for the business, and then you sit down with your senior management team, bringing on board perhaps some feedback from other managers, other departments and teams, and you create a set of goals that you can all sign up to around financial measures, around productivity and operations. You look at the learning and skills that you're going to need to develop within the business. You look at innovation and some of the new ideas that you want to come through over the next 12 months. And then you look at your position in the marketplace and look at where you want to grow your market position, how you want to delight your customers, whether you want to bring in new products, whether you want to increase your customer satisfaction, etc., etc. And all of these boxes are all interlinked because improvements in one area will inevitably have a knock-on effect in another area. And really, the balanced scorecard is as simple as this, and that's why it is so popular and why it is so relevant for businesses of all sizes, types, sectors, public and private. So to conclude this section on the balanced scorecard, I like to look at it this way. First and foremost, businesses are in business to achieve results. And if they can do that whilst also continuously improving the way that they work and the way that they delight their customers and their products and services and their processes are always improving, then that's going to be good for the business and it's going to make the business even better and more successful. And once you get to that stage, then you've got this organisational culture in place within your organisation that makes it a really good place to work, perhaps a fun place to work, and a place that is successful, and success tends to breed success and makes it a very enjoyable culture. So to achieve that then, let's sort of move backwards and look at how the balanced scorecard fits into this. So the balanced scorecard there again is about creating that vision and strategy, and then creating those goals for finance and stakeholders, customers and markets, operations and productivity, and learning and innovation. And in turn, these goals can then cascade through into specific business goals in the business plan, which can be cascaded down to departmental objectives for department heads to achieve. They can then cascade those down into individual goals and targets. They can then form the basis of any training plan if those goals mean that people will need to have new skills and new knowledge and new behaviours. And all along the way, the business should be evaluating performance on an ongoing basis using those balanced scorecard performance indicators to see whether or not they're on target to achieve those goals, and quickly taking action if they're not, and always celebrating if they are. That's the simplicity of the balanced scorecard, and that's why it's so popular. Okay, so I hope the Balanced Scorecard is making sense for you and that you've enjoyed this session. What I suggest you do next is to go to managerspitstop.com, where you can complete a free online Balanced Scorecard self-assessment review. It's very quick and easy to complete. It takes about 10 minutes, and you'll get a report that will show you where you've got some strengths and where you've got some areas that you might want to develop, which you can then discuss with your colleagues, with other senior managers, and help build this into making plans for the future. You can also get other colleagues to do the same review and then compare your findings with each other. I think you'll find that's quite interesting. But as I said, this is all free. It's there for you. Make the most of it and have fun.